Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Be a Warrior podcast. And today is a special day. I have on today Randy and David, the owners of the Limb Center and the founders of Limbs for Humanity. We have decided to bring them on, and I'm trying to get them once a month. We'll see. But every other month, a prosthetics point of view, a prosthetist point of view on prosthetics and the prosthetic life. And we are going to call this Prosthetic Parley with Randy and David. So welcome, guys.
Hey,
Thanks for having us.
appreciate
How are
you.
you?
I love it. I love it. You know, I gotta love Blue Man. I always have to mention Blue Man behind you. If he starts talking or moving, we got a problem. But
Yes,
I'm
please
so
let me
glad to
know.
have you guys back on. This is like a record for us 2 times in the last couple months, which is impressive. I know you are busy, and I say that laughing because I can joke with you guys, but you are very busy. And I know we'll get to some of the stuff that you've been up to lately because it's really admirable. But I do want to get to the meat and potatoes of this conversation and why I have you here. For one, audience, these are my guys. These are the ones that my orthopedic surgeon after the amputation sent me to get fitted. And you know, you sometimes just got to go with it and go, you know, you hope he has the best interest at heart. And I knew my surgeon well enough to know that he cares for his patients. And then I met these guys before my amputation, and I knew that they actually had the hearts to serve and to do what's right by each patient, making it an individual. So I feel that I'm extremely lucky and very blessed that I didn't have to do all this shopping around. And they have fit me with everything that I have, everything I love. They've done more than enough of good for me. And for 4 years, I've been able to live my life the way I want to live it. That's why I'm here. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
And yeah, like I said, busy. And these guys also have high school graduations coming up, and
Yep.
not for them. They actually are educated beyond high school. But you can only, you know, I just want to make sure I have a disclaimer there. They are, you know, top level. Yeah, you guys have some big days coming up, don't you?
You do.
Yeah.
We're excited.
We both have seniors in high school graduating. My son and Randy's son are both graduating tomorrow.
Yep.
Holy
We
cow.
got some parties this weekend for them and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be a busy one.
And then they're going to go, the plan for them, both of them.
Yeah.
They're going to prosthetic technician school.
That is awesome.
So,
When David
yeah.
said that yesterday, so I was in
Yeah.
yesterday getting myself fixed, but yeah, that's crazy. One, because
We're excited for them.
I was thinking 8th grade graduation. It was like, no, they're seniors. I'm like, have I been here that long?
That's
Yeah.
how long we've
I've been with
And,
you since their high school years started.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's crazy.
Time
And I
flies.
love that they're like best buddies and going off to school together and doing following in their father's footsteps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which is ironic because I know, Randy, your story is that you weren't sure what you were doing. And it took some mentors that kind of guided you that way. And David is a byproduct of wanting to help after he went through amputation. And so all of a sudden,
And then him and I, that's how him and I met.
yeah.
Randy was my prosthetist 24 years.
24 years ago,
Yeah.
and met him in the hospital. And
Yeah.
then we just became best buddies, and now we're in business together, and now we have a foundation, Limbs for Humanity, and
Yeah,
you know,
right.
it's things happen, you know, it's a relationship business, you know.
You go in that
With
hospital and say,
each
"Do
other
we just
and with
become best
patients.
friends?"
Yeah.
Do we just become best friends? Yep.
guess-
You want to go in the garage and do some karate? Yep.
You know, life is short, God is good, and you have to embrace these things and just live it, you know.
So
enjoy it.
true. And you know, I have found that just seeing the need that's in the world in all aspects of this community that now I can call my own community, my family, is so big. And it's not just, you know, not just on the prosthetic side of it, not the physical side of it, but the mental, emotional, the camaraderie that's needed, people feeling alone and dealing with it by themselves. Because even when you have a family that's by your side, do they really understand
What you're going through?
right, those night moments where you can't sit still and you like feel like you got the Jimmy legs kind of thing, and because you're just trying to find the right position till you fall asleep. And You know, I know that there's a lot of need out there, and you guys listening, these two guys can't get any better. They're like big brothers to me. They goof like big brothers. I had to wait 5 minutes for them to get their goofiness out before I could start recording. And that's just how it goes.
And it's this business, as a practitioner, they don't teach you the emotional, psychological side of how to help people. And so you have to be a good listener as a practitioner, and compassionate.
Yes.
Being humble and having gratitude, I feel, to really help connect with your patient, you know.
That's something they don't teach.
And we've heard sorry, David, we've heard other patients come in and from other places, and they said the biggest word is, they say, I just feel like he wasn't listening, or they're just not listening to me, you know. And
right,
they get me in and they get me out, and I just didn't feel like my voice was heard, you know. And so, okay, you know, and so we got to listen to what patients have to say, and their feelings, you know. So
right, not just another patient on your schedule for the day, but someone that actually has to go home and live it and be it and everything. And
again, it's a relationship business, you know, to be
it
successful.
is. Well, and you know, and I've told enough of the people that I've talked to that, you know, they go, how do I know if I'm in the right place? Your gut.
Yeah.
If there's any question that you're not being heard, or, you know, they're not really making connection with you, or it's taking forever to get in to see them, and when you do, it's only a couple minutes, and then they're on to the next, their mind's somewhere else. You kind of know.
You can feel it.
You can
feel it. If you just trust yourself. I know it's a weird world where we don't know what to expect on fittings and daily things that happen and breakdowns and things like that, but you got to go with your gut with the majority of this. Absolutely. But what I really want to hit on today's parlay is going to be more on the socket and the fitting aspect, because there are so many newbies. It seems like, I don't know if it's just the world's getting smaller for me now, because I knew no one that was an amputee 4 years ago. And now I feel like that's my only group of people. And it seems like it's like a assembly belt of people coming out from amputation. And I don't know if you guys are seeing that, or if it's just because I'm now in it.
Probably because you're in it.
Yeah, I think you're a little, yeah.
It feels like
that's just where your energy is right now and your focus.
Yeah. So. And it's sad, because I remember being there, but I fully wholeheartedly trusted you and Dr. Cummings and Dan, that I didn't even question it. And I knew that you had the hearts of the people I wanted working on my side. So I didn't have any weird gut reaction, or I don't know, never, ever with any of you guys in this whole community. But there are a lot that are unsure, and they're like, how do I know? How do I know? How do I know if this is the right guy? How do I know if this is the right fit? How do I know if this is the right socket, type of socket? So if we could just draw back and go to some basics, and I'm an above knee. So with above knee and below knee, I know there can be some differences, but I actually know two people right now that are brand new in this. One's BK, one's AK, both going into pin lock systems, and unsure if that is right for them, because another girl that was a pin got taken off because it was hurting her residual. I don't know if it was pulling and hitting or something, but she also has high infection rates, and they didn't want her skin to break down. So she's going out of it, and which is making the others like, should I not be in this? So can you guys speak to that? Can you kind of go through some of the ones that there are, what the options might be, and how you know what's right for, and people, as always, this is a personal journey. These are my prosthetists, and this is their opinion on what they've seen working and what they like to use. And I've told a lot of people that certain prosthetists have certain things that they really love, and that's the way they go. So, But with that being said, what can you tell us about some of the sockets that people can get?
Why don't you take that? Well,
Yeah, no, you're good.
This could be a 5-hour conversation. I know.
I know. I'll try to. Yeah, there's a lot of meat and potatoes, but there's not a one size fits all. Pin systems, that's the best way to go for everybody, or a suction socket, or I guess the first thing, excuse me, when you're a brand new amputee, the first year and a half is a journey. And sometimes as practitioners, we don't always know exactly what's going to be 100% the right thing. The experience of a practitioner, I think, helps because you've seen thousands of amputees. And so you get a really good tool and a good idea. But at the same token, you're trying the best for the patient. So you think you're doing a pin system might be the best bet, but it ended up, you have to change gears and go to a suction socket like that other patient is going through. But I think the big thing is the patients that are new really have to, I don't want to say have patience, but that first year and a half, your residual limb is going to change dramatically.
Mhm.
So when you do get fit, whether it's a pin, a suction, man, this fits really good today. I think that's the big thing is upon the first fitting that make sure you're going to know if you have a decent fit. If you have something that's poking out and really binding on your limb, or you have your bones hitting somewhere, and you got to be able to make sure that socket's fitting good when you leave. Now, whether it's going to stay a optimal fit, probably not, because your residual limb is going to change. And what was great in the office, like, man, this is awesome. I say it every time. I'm like, patients will walk, I'll fit a brand new socket, and they go, wow, Randy, this thing fits awesome. And I go, I'm going to record that. Can I record that? Man, Randy, this thing fits awesome. And then maybe a week or so, hey, Randy, this thing is killing me. I go, well, you said when you were here that it fit awesome. I'm joking, but that's just to show that the residual limb is going to change. And I think the big message here is that when that day or two or that week or 2 weeks goes by, that you have the ability to go and see your practitioner, the availability of seeing the consistent person that you saw last time, and the consistency of time of getting in to see him, not a week later, not 2 weeks later, not 3 weeks later. Within a day or two, you need to get in there and address the situation by padding or adjusting the socket in some fashion to make that optimal for the patient. And then sometimes, you do that and it still isn't working, and the practitioner has to switch gears. And, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I've had to do it. Your heart's in the right spot. You think, what, this particular suspension is going to be awesome, and it just doesn't work like you thought. I will say again, I think experience really has a factor in the outcomes of patients, because some practitioners have fit literally thousands of prosthetics on people, and you do get a foundation of what really does work, or the best odds of that particular device working, or that suspension working.
Well, and as you said, it takes experience, right? So even on our side, like, we don't know what we don't know. And when we try it, we think something's going to be good. And you might a week later go, oh, this isn't fitting right. I don't like the feel. This is pulling here or pushing there, and that's also about the fitting, not necessarily the type of socket. It could just be the fitting.
And that's where listening to the patient. Okay, what's going on? Okay, it's this, and this. Those are some things that I think we can solve. And this is how we're going to solve them,
Yeah.
And let's do that, and let's try it. And then usually you can, we can solve the issues, but the thing is not to pause on the patient. Make sure that they get in to see their practitioner as soon as they can.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we've heard is, I had to wait 2 weeks. And by then I was so frustrated, and I started getting skin breakdown. And I just kind of wanted to give up on things. I just mentally, and they're done,
Yeah.
So,
well, it's already a hard enough situation for people mentally to get their head around what's going on, but then to have to fight like insurance, to fight to be seen, fight to be heard. It's exhaustive. Like, one less battle would be nice. Yeah.
And I think that kind of goes into the interview process of finding a good prosthetist, because I think that patients, they should, and they have the right to go where they want to go. And some patients don't. Well, this is who my doctor sent me to.
Yeah.
Just like you, Angie. I mean, you came because your doctor referred you to us, but it ended up working out because I think, we had a good rapport, and you felt in your gut that it was right. but patients have the right to, hey, you're a great person, but I'm going to go over to X, Y, and Z prosthetics to just want to say hi and see what they're all about. And, because this is a lifelong business. This isn't just a one-time, yay.
Yeah.
No, you're going to, I've got patients that I've been seeing for 24 years,
Yep.
And
now he's working with you.
yeah. And so
this is what happens.
That's what happens.
This is what happens.
You build a bond with your prosthetist. You really do.
Right.
And with my patients, we've had some crazy conversations that I would have never thought we would had, but
yeah,
they have the confidence to share things with you. And that means a lot,
Well, that I think helps you too. I think communication is key. And when I say that, I don't even mean like you guys communicating with us, but us communicating our dreams, our hopes, our goals, things like that. I think help you choose the type of leg, the type of socket too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah. So I'll, as a patient, first as an amputee, just thinking back, I'm trying to think about, scenarios and what was important to me early on and what attracted me to Randy as well when I first met him. And
yeah,
I think having a practitioner, for those of you out there who are searching and just want to make sure you're in the right place and someone is looking out for your best interests. The thing about Randy I liked, which I've adopted as well, is being flexible. You have to be flexible because like a lot of practitioners have a way of doing things or they have their own tried and true methods and they tend to stick in one lane.
Yeah.
And as a patient, not everyone's created equal, and so it's like, as you mentioned before, you might start out in a pin system and it's working out great for the patient, and then all of a sudden, it's not working. And with me, I tried several different socket designs early on. I was like, this isn't really working. I don't know, I'm not comfortable. It feels heavy. I don't feel as stable in it. And Randy's like, no problem. Let's change gears. Let's change gears. Let's try something else. And he was flexible and he listened. And it was like, okay, what can we do now? So we were able to pivot easily and say, okay, let's try something else, man. There's this option. There's option C, option D. And we tried various things until we found something that worked perfect for me. And I've been in that system now for, I don't know, 16 years, 15, 16 years. But that's something that's really important. It's just
willingness to change gears, I guess.
Willingness to change gears. Yeah. And to ask questions too.
Multiple times.
We don't all know everything too. I mean, it is an experienced business. And I've seen Randy, in my experience with him, not be afraid to say, you know what? God, I've done these, but I haven't done a ton of these. So you know what? I'm going to call a colleague of mine that's been doing this for 40 years. I'm going to pick his brain. I'll get back to you.
That's a good point.
And then we come back and, so being humble enough.
Right. No ego.
No.
Drop the ego.
Because we're here about trying to make your life better. So we're not afraid to, to make a phone call and, and to kind of,
our eyes.
Yeah. And to vocalize, hey man, I need help.
Yeah.
With this particular patient because I haven't seen this before.
Yeah.
So
true.
And then we come back and it works for everybody. So that's a big one.
Yeah.
So can I redirect on this? And I think after 4 years, I think I know most of the types of different sockets that you could get. I mean, you guys started me with lanyard, and that was just almost like it was like a security belt, really.
And you want me to tell you why?
Yeah.
Why? Yes. Why? Because a lot of these newbies aren't doing lanyards, and it blows my mind that above knees aren't doing lanyards for their first one.
I'll tell you. So the reason why we start 95% all above knees in lanyards, and the reason being is as an above knee amputee, your residual limb, you have a lot of edema, you have some fairly large musculature in your quad. You're learning how to walk. You've never done this before. And I feel like linkage and suspension on how to hold the prosthesis on is a very important role into success. So with you, we started you with the lanyard, and that was because we knew that you were going to reduce in limb size.
Big
And we
time.
wanted to make sure that
What are you
when
saying? Okay.
we wanted
Jeez.
to make sure when you do so that you could adjust your socket to accommodate the limb loss, and that we loaded you up with a ton of socks, different
Yes.
thicknesses,
So many socks.
and so we loaded you those. We gave you those socks, and then we did the strap, which is the lanyard, because we wanted to make sure that you could get in the socket and make
Yeah.
sure that you could pull yourself in it, and then safely attach yourself to that socket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you do I don't do a pin for two reasons. One is the pin that you screw in the bottom of the liner
Mhm.
adds a little bit of length. And then on the bottom of the socket, you have to have a fixture to hold that pin, which is a lock, correct?
Right.
Now, what that does is it adds length to your residual limb.
Okay.
It's going to there change your knee center where your prosthetic knee joint's going to go on, correct?
Yes.
That's one reason. Second reason is sometimes when you're fluctuating size, well, today I'm wearing a one sock and two socks tomorrow, and that little pin has to reach all the way down to the bottom of the socket. And there might be a day you're a little bit puffy and you're trying to figure out your sock size, and you just cannot get that sucker to line up in that little hole.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas
Okay.
with the lanyard, we got a long strap. It's pretty elementary.
Yeah.
You put the strap through the hole of the sock, you pull the sock up,
Yep.
and you're going to get into that socket, and it's not going to come off.
Right.
She's not coming off, you know.
Yeah, that was a nice security blanket.
It's a pain in the butt after about 3-4 months into that thing, because things are getting loose and big, and you're getting rotation because it's sloppy, and we're padding it.
Yeah.
And then at that point, your limb, we're taking measurements along the way.
Yep.
We've always taken measurements of your limb, and we're following you to see kind of where you're going. And at that point, it's like, okay, now we're holding you back, and you're going back in your progress, and it's time to do a socket replacement.
Yeah. Yep.
Add to that, so the other side of that coin is if you go right into like a seal-in suction socket or
Yes.
something like that for a brand new amputee, the change is so drastic in the beginning that it'll fit great day one, maybe week one,
Hold suction.
maybe 2 weeks it'll hold, maybe with a few socks, but the change is so drastic that eventually there's not going to be enough socks. You're going to be moving so much air, and you'll take a step and the leg could fall off. It's
Yeah.
just now we're challenged with trying to keep the leg on.
Yeah.
And lanyard's going to secure.
Safety
It's going to
issue.
ensure that it's got a good connection. It's not going to fall off.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Right.
going to be big, it'll be loose, and we can pad it, and we can add socks, but it's going to ensure that you've got at least good suspension
Yeah.
Yeah.
until we get you out of that first sock.
Right.
Well, and I think the way you guys did that was my progression right there, what you just explained. And it just made sense. Like for someone new having to take steps with two missing joints, I really liked, even though it was not pretty, I really liked all that Velcro holding tight. I knew it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
I knew
And
it.
we're trying to get you to learn how to walk again. We don't need you to
Right.
figure out, is the leg going to come off? Is it going to, oh
Yeah.
gosh, is it going to turn?
There's
What do I
there's
do?
already a mental game to that,
easy.
and trusting the leg, the knee, the toe, right? There's already, you don't need to like, is it going to fall off? And I do
Yeah.
remember, that little bit of a, when I went to suction, like physically, I was like, how does that actually work? Like why doesn't this fall off? And I remember letting go of the lanyard, and there was a good couple weeks of just gaining confidence again. And it's like,
Yeah.
you go steps forward, steps back, steps forward, steps back, and you're constantly going through that change. Now, you guys wanted me, and I know, David, you're skin fit as well. What is it that you like about the skin fit socket that David and I are in, Randy?
Yeah, no, we
call
call it
it-
the big boys.
We call it the big boy socket.
It is the
Yeah.
big boy.
Big girl, big boy.
Yeah, big girl, big boy.
Big girl
Because-
doesn't have the same connotation, so let's not use that one.
Okay, you
Okay,
can't say
yeah.
that.
You're
Yeah.
not allowed to-
Oh, she's
Sorry.
a big girl.
Yeah.
Nope,
The-
nope.
The big person socket.
That's right. It's
Yeah.
the grown-up
Grown
socket.
up socket.
Grown up, there you go.
That's
That's
it.
probably a
There we
much
That's a grown-up
better
socket.
feeling. And why is that?
It's just you know, you don't really, it's not good to start off right away with it because you're changing so much. The fit is so intimate,
Mhm.
skin on socket. So your limbs got to take some time to mature. you've got to really stabilize because you can't wear socks.
No.
You know, if you start to lose volume or lose weight, you can't throw a sock on because there's no liner. So it's skin on socket, literally. So we have to wait till you mature a little bit. You've really stabilized. So usually after year 2, year 3 is when we can start with that. Your skin is kind of more mature too. You've gone through the blister stage and all that, and just and you know, your limbs just stabilized.
Yeah.
And then we move into skin fit. But what we like about it is it's one less variable. You don't have the liner anymore. So you don't have that issue. You have to worry about liners ripping, tearing, all that. For me, that was a huge problem in the beginning.
All the time.
I was all in the groin. I was tearing my liners,
All the
ripping
time.
them. And when that goes, you're at the mercy of shipping and your practitioner. And you're like, oh, my God, my liner ripped, and insurance.
And
You know,
$700.
is insurance are they gonna pay for it? I just ripped it 3 months ago. Are they gonna pay for
Nope.
it? Nope. So it was all those things. So for me, it was nice not having to worry about
Yeah.
that. You don't have that in the
That's
back of my
crazy.
mind. You know, you're on vacation and your liner rips.
No kidding.
Which happened, you know.
And you talked about me and teeth.
yeah,
Oh, the truth comes out.
the tooth. Yeah, we'll
Yeah,
talk
the-
about that later.
Yeah, that's another
That's another
conversation.
podcast.
No, that's not a podcast. Not this one.
But so there's all those things, and then the suspension is just so good, and I feel like it's
Connection.
it's a better connection to the socket. There's you know, you move your hip, you rotate your leg in or out, your toes. It's just the socket responds immediately. There's no lag and no micro movements. It's right there, and it's a great socket. Yeah, but to add to that, it's a little harder to fit. You know,
Yeah.
it's more challenging. Sometimes you have to do a few more check socket phases to really dial it in. So it isn't as easy. You know, the liner allows you to
Yeah, it gives you
forgiveness.
forgiveness
It's got some forgiveness. Yeah.
for socket fit, I think.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
Right.
and in the morning, it's kind of funny because I know that there are people, and I've listened to the argument of, oh, I've done skin fit. I hate it. I'm back to liners. It's so much easier. I'm in and out of my socket in 5 seconds. And then I'm showing a video of me putting mine on, and it's like, and I'm like, when I'm 80, this is not going to feel good. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I get why
Leaning
people,
over.
leaning over, pulling out your leg while you
Balancing.
pull down, right?
Yeah.
Like
And
my
that's where-
right foot is grabbing the ground like this just to
Yeah.
balance, right?
And that goes to the point, one size doesn't fit all.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Well, and to that, is there anybody either that is in your mind, a really good fit for skin fit, or on the opposite end, maybe someone who definitely should not be a skin fit because of one thing or another? Is there a one side or not to that coin?
For sure. There's some considerations we take
Yeah.
before we just throw somebody in a skin fit. Hand dexterity, balance,
Strength.
volume fluctuation. We
Yeah,
have some patients that
if you're diabetic or on dialysis or
True.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not a candidate for
Yeah,
that.
it's too much fluctuation. It's not even gonna work.
Yeah.
It'll fit great in the morning, maybe, but not on, you know, or
Yeah.
you know, so it's just it's just too many variations.
Interesting. That's interesting.
But to add to that too, just like Brady said, it's not for everybody. You know, we put patients that we thought were great candidates into a skid fit. We got a guy coming in, I think,
Yeah.
next month.
VA guy, yeah.
VA guy, young, healthy, athletic, and we
No
switched him to
problems.
skin fit, and he, it was great. And we haven't seen him since we fitted, actually.
Yeah, we
He's
haven't
just
even
one of
seen
those guys. It's just a
Yeah.
Good fit.
But he called and it's time for a new socket. He's lost some weight and he wants to go back to his old system. He just said, I felt
Interesting.
more comfortable in the other one. So it's like, hey, no
Interesting.
problem,
Okay.
let's pivot.
And
Yeah,
that goes back to communicating as an APT.
Yeah,
No worries.
Full on communication, don't hide facts, or don't worry about, like, I know a lot of the concerns too, especially even looking around for a different prosthetist, is hurting that person's feelings. And especially, I don't know if it's a guy thing, but I can speak from a women's perspective. We tend to skirt around hurting people's feelings because we don't want to do that.
Right.
And so you're try to talk up people, going like, you have to just be honest and just say, I need this for the rest of my life. And I'm going to look around, and they're like, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah, you can. You can talk to others. You need to, if you're unsure.
we've had patients that we've been seeing for many years, and they've gone elsewhere,
Yeah.
and we're still friends, you know.
Yeah.
And we
That's
tell,
okay.
we
You know?
tell them, hey,
We're
if you
always
ever
here
need
for
us,
you.
we're here for you.
100%.
Yeah.
Worries.
Sometimes it's distance thing too. It's like,
Yeah.
man, I found something
True.
that's closer to my house and instead of an hour drive to you guys.
Yeah.
So those situations
Or and we've had it to where they've left for a year, and next year, hi, I'm back. You
The
know?
grass wasn't greener, you mean?
Yeah, maybe. Just
Yeah.
it's okay. But we're cool.
Yeah,
We're like,
that's-
no worries. Come on, let's do it. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's all good. No worries.
Can I ask you guys to talk a little bit about anybody that's a newbie that's just getting fitted and they're trying it on? I mean, there's David, I always think of you with this because my first week was put it on, didn't have a chance to see Dan, went on a vacation in California, wore it the whole time because David knew my personality enough to say, sometimes you just got to suck it up, Buttercup. And I'm like, I'm going to suck it up. And it was painful, but I did it. And then Dan told me, so here's what you're doing wrong. And when he flipped that switch, everything kind of locked into place. As a new person dealing with the aches and pains of, and some of these people are going home with check sockets for the first one. So that's that hard shell that hurts anyways. That always, even now, if you sent me home this week with a test socket, I'd be bruised up in my, sit bone, and I'd be bruised.
Yeah.
So how do you distinguish, or what can you talk to these people about that are going through this brand new fit? They might be going home with that check socket or whatever. How do you determine what you push through and what's a normal healing issue versus oh, you better stop? And I mean, we know about skin. We always talk about like skin breakdown. Watch for that, especially if you have a high infection rate. Watch for skin breakdown. But what are the other things? What can they expect it to feel like? Because it's going to be uncomfortable, but it's hard to tell them the difference between uncomfortable and sucking it up through that. And don't go too hard because you might do more damage than good. Is there anything you can both speak to on that?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It's a
just
tough
so
one.
hard. It's so subjective,
And they have to
So-
know their own body, right? I mean, they really do.
That passed away.
Yeah, Steve.
I had a
Oh.
patient that told me this. He's a BK patient, and I would fit him. I saw him for quite a few years, and rest his soul, he passed. He was a good friend of ours,
Oh,
and I know he'd want me to share this story because he's that guy.
good.
I remember I fit him one time, and I go, how's it feeling? How's it going, Steve? Is it feeling good? He goes, it doesn't feel good, but it doesn't hurt, Randy. But I know it's not supposed to feel, yeah, man, this is
Better
like
than the
sitting on
real
a
deal.
recliner.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess there's some of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
It doesn't feel good, but it doesn't hurt me. It's not
Right.
uncomfortable like I'm walking around with a rock in my shoe. So there is some of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely. That's a really good point.
That is a really great way to say that.
and that's and I got that. I was like, okay.
And then there's the pressure and pain thing too. I always tell patients like, well, is there pressure or does it hurt? And it's that feeling of like,
calf or something, like they get the pressure in the
yeah, because sometimes pressure, like if it's not hurting, but you feel tightness or pressure, sometimes that's just, you're a new amputee and you're not used to being in a socket. You're not used to these pressures that are going to be normal very soon, but right now it's all new to you. So I guess that's something too. I mean, if it's hurting and you take a step and you can't put pressure on it or something to where it's like, it's a bad sign, then we have to fix something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's stuff, but if you're just like, God, it feels really tight. Well, that's where the gray area is. So we'll have them walk a little bit in the office and then we'll take it off. And if we see like some, higher, some redness going on or something, and it's not dissipating from pressure and it's more like, okay, this could cause
hot spot,
skin breakdown,
Mhm.
then we'll make some adjustments, heat and flare or push out.
I mean, like, for example, like even on a BK, below the knee prosthesis, like the most common pressure that you're going to hear is the bottom front shin bone, anterior distal tibia.
Yeah.
The front bottom shin bone. God, Randy, it's killing me right there. And that's a pressure. and that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That should not have pressure there.
Okay.
Sorry, no pressure.
Okay.
You know, stuff like that. That would be like, okay, or you go ahead and get used to that. You just got to break it in.
Yeah,
Nah, you never break it. That's not breaking in.
that.
You're gonna get skin breakdown is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
So calf pressure, God, I got pressure in
It's
that
tight.
calf.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that all the time, and that dissipates.
You
And
get
that,
like, okay, that's good pressure.
Yeah.
That we want to hear
Okay.
because that's just fatty air. It's
Yeah.
just tissue, and it's gonna
Yeah.
eventually that's where you're gonna lose volume, and it's gonna be loose in no time. So
there's definitely a balance on fitting a socket because you don't want it too tight to where you're not getting your limb is not getting contact on the bottom, which is a bad thing because then you get blisters and like a hickey sensation. But you definitely don't want too much pressure and bottoming out. So there's definitely a balance, and that's where we call it the sock game because you need to make sure you're managing your prosthesis with the proper sock.
because we want tight. You want it tight. If it's loose, all your weight's going to go through the bottom of that socket.
Yeah.
What we make is a total contact socket, meaning it's tight all the way around, so you're not getting all your weight in one area.
Got it.
So you want it tight. That's going to give you the most comfort long term.
Can I just say right now, I am so glad I'm 4 years out. I think it's like giving birth, right? Like, oh, I'll do it again. I don't remember any of those bad things. Oh, you get pregnant, you're like, okay, I remember this. I would not go back there because there's just some subtle things that you guys say that kind of give me the shivers. And I'm like, oh, I remember that. Or that, trying to do that 10K that time and having to stop 3 times to add sock layers. By the time I couldn't even tell if my leg was still really feeling like it was on me because I think at one point in time I got between 12 and 15 ply. And at that point you're like, there's no connection. It's so disconnected. And it's true. I like what your past patient said about the comfort zone and people will say, well, is that normal or whatever? Well, I don't even know if anybody understands what normal is because there's no normal. And it's not going to be your leg. If it was going to feel like the leg you used to own before it was injured or before you had problems, then you'd still have it. But it's not going to be the same because we weren't meant to have something stuck to our body like that.
Right.
So it's not like I say, whenever I'm sitting here doing my podcast, I always say my foot is tingling. It always feels like it's on fire. It's not because of a fit. I'm not going to go, Randy, what did you do? It's just, that's what it does. And can I tolerate it? Yeah, I can tolerate it. It's not painful. I can go out and walk if I want, but do I like it? No, but that's life. Okay. So it's what we have to do with, and you learn where your tolerance is, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast with you, but for me, that was like the biggest turning point was when I came to terms with it's not going to feel like my other leg. It's not going to feel like my leg before because I was striving for that.
Yeah, you can't.
So I had every day was bad. I was like, dude, this is not working. It doesn't feel good. And no, so I had to come to terms with
expectations.
Yeah.
Managing expectations.
Yeah. And yes, that's
the topic.
Come to terms with, this is as good as it's going to feel. It's not hurting me. I have a prosthesis on now. It's not going to feel like my good leg.
No.
But this is as great as it's going to feel.
Yeah.
And that's my new baseline. And once I figured out my new baseline, then I knew if I was having bad days or good days based on that.
Right.
But
exactly.
Because of that now, I had so many great days and the bad days were far and few in between, because I adjusted my expectations.
Yep. And I do believe that first year is to build up expectations and break them down and figure out what the new norm will be for you individually. And if you can understand that it's not going to be a replacement for what you were born with, it's just an addition to make you mobile. Then you do that. You go with mobility. Do you have mobility? Then be happy. As long as you're not ripping your skin apart, not bruising yourself up, and you're not like when I had to get the TMR because of the neuroma. Like when I couldn't step, and that pain was, when something's not right. Like it's really extreme like that. That was extreme. Like when you get stopped in the middle of a parking lot and a car's going to hit you, but you can't move. That's where I was at. And,
Gotcha.
you know, and then that TMR was just the best thing that I did, even though I did not want to start over again with the new incision.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta just do what you need to
you gotta do it.
do. All right, so I want to shift gears. I love that information. I think we can still even go deeper into that, but Limbs for Humanity. We talked a little bit about this in April. April. And I want to see where you guys are at now with it and what the main goal is. What is Limbs for Humanity? Where did it come from? What was the birth of this? And where do you see it going?
To the moon, to the moon. So Limbs for Humanity, it was not about a year and a half ago. It was just we got a so okay. I'll back up. About what? 6 years ago?
Yeah, about 6 years ago. Yeah.
Someone reached out to Randy on Facebook about wanting to help in Mexico because there was a need out there. For patients who do not have prosthetics, no insurance coverage, just amputees in need. And he sat on it for a long time. And then it was about a year and a half ago now, maybe.
Something came in my heart.
Yeah. Randy's like, man, you know what? And we've always talked about helping and wanting to help. And we help here, you know, in Arizona all the time. We get patients who come in that don't have insurance or
Figure it out.
And we figure it out, and we've been helping them for years. But we wanted to do more. So it was just an idea. We reached out to the lady that emailed us, and what's her name? I guess we should give her a shout out. I can't even dang it, dude.
Was it Susie?
I haven't talked to her in so long, but it was anyway, sorry. You know who you are if you ever listen to this. But so it'll come before we're finished.
Yeah. There you go. Randy just shout it out when it comes.
Yeah. So we
Luann.
Yeah, lovely Luann.
Luann is great. She's not with the Rocky Point Medical Clinic anymore, and she is well missed because she did a whole lot.
Yeah,
but
she was an orchestrator.
One that we communicated with. Anyway, so go ahead.
Yeah, so we reached out to her. She was so excited. She responded within, I don't know, 30 minutes or something. We got a message back. She responded and she said, yes, we need help out here. We haven't had anybody. It's been a couple years since COVID.
Gosh.
Because everyone backed out and just shut down.
Yep.
And then nobody came back. So there's been no service or care out there since then. So we said, sure, we'd love to help out. So we said, you know what? I mean, we're busy as heck. I don't know if what we can do or how much we can do, but let's do a trip and let's go take a look and see what we can do to help out. So we went out there, did our first trip, and it was just unbelievable. Lines around the corner, people, not just from Rocky Point, but from other parts of Mexico that heard we were coming, that drove down and took buses in. And we were like, eyes just kind of went boom, like this is amazing. And the need is more than we imagined or thought, and they turn people away too, because they're like, no, they can only see so many people.
Wow.
So sad, man.
Yeah, it was pretty
sad.
So saw most of who we saw were patients that never had a prosthesis. I mean, just a few of them have ever had any, but most were amputees of 3, 4, 5 or more years and just never had a prosthesis. So it just touched our hearts. And then that same year, we probably took 8 or 9 trips.
Yeah.
We're like, when can we go back? So we're like, so thank God to our families, our wives,
thankful
have been so supportive and allowing us to, to leave them on the weekends. And it's just once a month right now, but that's what we've been doing. And then it wasn't until this year, it was official. I think because of the need. February, we're like, okay, we have to do something. This is bigger than us. We can't go down enough. I mean, we wish we could be there every day, but we can't go down enough, and we need more than us to go down and really make this work. We need to create something to fill this void. And then we also were running out of parts and components because we were using stuff that we've accumulated over the years, patients' old feet and old knees and liners and stuff and then we had patients who were donating to us. Yeah. And we're really just supporting our cause as we're talking about it every day. Then we had our fabricator, Lencho Sanchez at Ellis Labs, who was hugely instrumental. He was helping us to fabricate stuff, and
Mhm.
so really just was helping us, and so that's when we decided. It was around February or so is when we said, let's get to work, and we started thinking about names and coming up with ideas of what we could do. And from those conversations with our wives and me and Randy back and forth, that was the birth of Limbs for Humanity.
Mhm.
And we just met with our attorney about 3 weeks ago. He's filing paperwork, I want to say this week or next week, to the IRS. We'll be an official 501c3 by August, I would imagine.
Awesome.
At the latest. So yeah, that's kind of right. Is that the cliff notes?
Good,
I mean, of where we are.
Changed
So
our life.
changed our life completely. Yeah.
Well, and I
So we-
think it's
we need
incredible. What are the goals? What do you see?
We want to, because whenever we leave, there's always more amputees. Like they have lists and lists of amputees. We want to try to see how close we can fulfill those lists and fill the need for patients. We want to be able to support education for diabetes and circulatory issues, for diet and how to educate people on how to prevent amputations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people that have amputations, how to prevent their other side becoming amputated, and so
Because that's what we're saying. It's not trauma. It's not trauma. What we see is diabetic related infection.
And then the other thing is to get a network of maybe throughout the whole United States of patients that have old prosthetics in their closets that they're never going to use, that have a little bit more life on them, that we can get some donations on components, feet, knees, liners, socks, whatever. We'll take it.
You can send it to the office here.
To you,
We can
whatever.
give you the address to post.
For sure. We'll put that on.
Whatever. We right now, that's the big need. Most of the amputees in Mexico are above the knee. I would say 80% are above the knee, maybe 90%.
Yeah, 90.
And so we need prosthetic knees. Is like we're in dire need of knees right now.
Okay. Okay.
And that's limiting us on who we can even see. Yeah, we can cast them. We can fabricate the socket.
Yeah,
we can even find some feet, but knees, sorry, we don't have any knees. So we're kind of on hold.
We have 100 people who are in need, and we probably got enough parts to 10, 15 of those right now at this moment. So that's our biggest hurdle right now.
And then financially, anything helps for our gas, so we can bring other people with us, for housing, for cost of fabrication,
parts and fabrication.
The components to fabricate a socket are fairly expensive. We do have some more economical ways that we're doing, which we can still make a socket for about $80 to $100, just the socket. And that's a nice socket that will work for the patient, but we still need the knee and the foot and the pylon and stuff like that. So that's the
liners. If we can't find one, sometimes you don't want to give anything that's too beat up or too sore or damaged. So liner costs and liners are expensive. So that's kind of what we are. And to add real quick too, it's not, and Mexico kind of spawned all this, but we're here, on American soil too. We're doing, our goal is to help that's why it's Limbs for Humanity. It's
not just Mexico.
It's the world. So now we can do more here in Arizona and around the US as well as other parts of the country.
The thing with Mexico is it's about 3.5 to 4 hour drive for us. So that enables us to get down there.
It's more economical for you guys. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and it's a good trip. I mean, it's a hard trip, but it's a fun kind of hard trip, because you're the gratitude that they give you is something you feel you do not deserve. Yeah. Because this is what we do every day. We fit thousands of legs over the years, and it's like
kind of helps you remember why you got into it.
Yeah. Why it's the why. It's the why.
Yeah. And the gratitude that you have for your life and your family and everything that you have that they don't have makes you think.
Yeah. Well, guys, I mean, I can't even think of two nicer people to do something so spectacular. And even when you say you do stuff on this soil, I mean, for those of you listening, when I first became an amputee and met them, I'm like, so this is what I want to do. This is what I plan to do. This is where I'm going to be. And I do remember learning from some peer meetings I had. Set goals. Give yourself dates, not just, oh, someday I want to walk, someday I want to run. Like, I'm going to run this on this date. And I did that. And Randy, we were talking about, okay, I just got my socket, just got my leg. Thank God. Spent a month trying to convince insurance I was worth it. And then I said, I'm doing a 10K. And we're like, so we don't have a running blade and we know insurance isn't going to cover it. And what did we say?
Figure it out.
Figure it out. And then I said, okay, so now I want to surf. And, you know, to your testament, the things you guys have done to get me to my point when, you know, it's expensive and all the medical bills that became part of our life those years before were still there. And Randy and David made me the surf leg and they made me the beach leg so I could do stuff with my kids on the beach, because you don't want to take your sea leg out on the sand and get that all junked up. But I mean, that's the kind of heart these guys have, right? Doing those things. And that's what makes you guys superior in my mind. I mean, I don't know a lot of other prosthetists, but I do know some, and I've heard stories that would curl your hair. But if David had any, sorry, had to throw that one in there.
That's a good one.
I thought it was really good, but boom. But the fact that these guys go down and do that, their families are willing to give up that time, because they know that that's a hard thing. You work. And Randy has the workshop he has at his home. And how many times you've told me that he'd be having dinner with his family, run out, do a new coat on the paint job I wanted, go back in, finish watching the movie with his family, go back out, do another coat on a weekend. You guys are family, you know, and you've done so much to make me successful. And I am always going to be grateful for that. But the fact that you have opened your hearts up to another group of people that would never even dare to dream about goals like that walking again is a testament to your character, to your Christian belief, and to the fact that you know that there's a higher power at work here, is what makes me endeared to working with you guys and helping you guys and getting you on here and spreading the word, because it's going to be huge. You're right. It's going to be huge. And I'm grateful that we're friends.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. With your help, Angie.
We'll get you out there. And so if you could ask for one thing from this audience, it is, we need parts. We need parts.
Please like and share Limbs for Humanity on Instagram.
Yep.
And also on TikTok. Limbs FOR Humanity.
Yep.
And we don't have Facebook yet.
We're working on it.
We're within
the next day.
Yeah, and it should be the same handle.
Yeah.
So yeah. That's all we can ask. Please spread the word and please help us with parts. Any donations you can give to our cause. And
Yep. I'm a firm believer that everybody should have the ability to move around, because it does not only help us with our physical feeling, but our mental and emotional state, which is extremely important to get people to be productive members of society. Right? Otherwise, they might be a drag on society, because they are in need of so much more when the physical isn't being met, then the mental and emotional isn't being met. And it's just,
absolutely,
we need to come together as people, as humans, to help one another. So you guys rock. In my book, you're number one.
All right. Thank you, Angie.
And I appreciate you guys being on here. I love Prosthetic Parley with David here. And until we see you guys here next time, thank you so much. Have an awesome and blessed week.
You too.
And you guys take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.